So sometimes we read books that are hyped and we're disappointed. But I recently finished a book that is very hyped on BookTube, and I would like to say that it is absolutely worth every bit of the hype that it has received. And that is Atmosphere by Taylor Jenkins Reid. This is the first book that I've read by this author, and it certainly will not be my last. It is the early 1980s, and NASA has decided to finally allow women the opportunity to become astronauts. Jane Goodwin decides that this is her opportunity to try to make it, and she trains, and indeed, she is accepted on the crew, along with a few other women who have such different personalities as she has. But she has a secret. She is in love with a fellow female astronaut named Vanessa. In addition, she has responsibilities toward her niece Frances, whose mother is an absolute narcissist. At the beginning of the story, we learned that there was a tragedy on a recent flight, and Joan is working mission control, trying to help the surviving astronaut pilot the space shuttle back to Earth. Throughout the novel, we are following Joan both in her personal life as well as in her professional career, and then, of course, following the conclusion of this tragedy. This is absolutely a tearjerker. You should have a box of tissues near you. I love the way that this book's explored the boundaries between individual freedom and our duty towards other people. This is especially complicated when it comes to NASA. The crew has to trust each other, and it has to be more than just the individual. And yet, at times, Joan's individuality is being completely stifled by NASA's requirements. This is also a book that looks at women in the early days of becoming astronauts and the question of, how should women carry themselves in a male-dominated industry? Do they represent themselves? Do they represent all women? And there are other women on the crew who have very different beliefs than she does about how to carry themselves professionally as women. I thought this was a brilliant novel, and what I love too is that the prose isn't particularly complicated. It is not the prose itself that brings out the depth of this novel. It is the characterization, it is the dialogue, and I was bawling my eyes out at the end of the story. It was a brilliant conclusion to a brilliant homage to NASA and just the experience of being an astronaut, one of the most dangerous jobs in the world. Let me know if you've read this story and whether you would agree that it is absolutely worth the hype.